Broadcasting from the Professional Fantasy Football League studios in Marina Del Rey, California, I'm your host, John Hampton. This is PFFL Live. Welcome to the Thursday matchup preview episode for Week 5 of PFFL Live. I want to take a moment to talk to all of you fans out there and members of the PFFL. We need you guys to get involved. We're producing tons of shows and loads of content, and now it's on you guys, the fans, to get involved. Comment on our Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube, make videos, talk smack, and help grow this community. Now, we've been trying to put out some competitions for you guys, but haven't had a lot of responses so far. So here is a challenge for all of you. On Sunday, post a video of yourself talking smack in any way imaginable to our Facebook. The winner will take home $20 and a free active PFFL Tier 3 team for this season. So basically, you not only get $20, but a chance to win up to $120 more this year, as well as a team that could be in Tier 2 or even Tier 1 by the start of next season. Get into this, guys! All right, now that that's off my chest, there's not a ton of news going on this week in the NFL, so we're going straight into the matchups. We'll start with the matchup of the week. We're starting in Tier 3A for a great matchup with one of our very own content contributors, the Fantasy Geek, Dave Zimmerman versus the Pacific Jewfish. If there's one thing we all know, and especially anybody who's been listening to this radio station, Dave the Fantasy Geek knows his fantasy football, maybe too well. He's got Aaron Rodgers and Cedric Benson going up against the Colts after a bye week. This game could make or break him. But just in case, he's got Alfred Morris in his flex. Martellus Bennett hardly got a catch last week, so it will be interesting to see if Eli looks his way this week. I think that the Geek's biggest weakness is his wide receivers, with Hakeem Nicks still shaken up. The Pacific Jewfish, great name. His name's Parker, and I got him on the phone. We'll go to him in just a second. Jewfish has some firepower this week with Breeze at the helm, Trent Richardson, and Chris Johnson at running back. Colston, Torrey Smith, and James Jones at wide receiver, capping it off with Tony Gonzalez at tight end. That's a lineup, especially after both Colston and Johnson had breakout weeks last week. Look for them to get the ball early and often this week. Let's jump on the phone with Parker. So, Mr. Jewfish, I gotta say I love the direction of your team. I want to ask you, do you think Chris Johnson can wind up having a strong year after a miserable start? And do you think he can put up points against an underrated Vikings defense this week?
I don't know. It's tough. Chris Johnson's one of those guys. It's really hard to sit because he's always capable of that game that he had last week. I don't really think he's back, but I did spend a lot of money on him to begin with, so he's probably going to stay in my lineup even though he was out last week.
Right.
And the Vikings' run defense is pretty good, but I don't have a lot of other great options, and it's not the Viking offense isn't necessarily strong enough to really keep up with their defense all the time.
Well, that's a good point. It looks like you're starting James Jones this week in your flex. Was that an intentional move because the Fantasy Geek has Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback, or is this just your best option?
I mean, it's a little bit of both. I mean, Jennings is out, so James is obviously going to get more looks. Also, I mean, Indianapolis is a pretty weak team. Their secondary isn't anything to write home about, so I think James Jones always has a good chance, just like any Green Bay wide receiver does, and it does give you a little bit of security that if Rodgers does make the connection to him, at least I steal some of those points away.
All right, man. Thanks for talking to us. I think you'll avoid getting filleted this week by the Geek and come out with a win.
Yeah, well, you know, it's always the Jews that come for the pound of flesh, so I'd be worried if I was a Fantasy Geek.
All right, best of luck to you, Parker. Moving on, these guys have both seen a lot of coverage, but for good reason. This is the only battle of undefeated teams in the PFFL this week. The Foxhounders versus Daewoo Lanos 3.1 in Tier 3J. The Foxhounders are and have been on an absolute tear this year. It will be interesting to see how starter Michael Vick fares against the Steelers' defense. But look out for his running backs with Arian Foster and Maurice Jones-Drew. If I were him, I would sit Jonathan Stewart, but I said this last week and he still won, so what the hell do I know? Daewoo is a fanatic. I believe he owns 6, maybe 7 PFFL teams, and you might say that with that many teams, 1 or 2 are bound to do well. But there's more to it than just a shotgun approach. RG3 is official, so official that he's cranking out wins for all of his owners. But this week he's up against a tough Atlanta defense. I think this will be his biggest challenge yet. Also, Ray Rice against a soft cheese defense, look for him to rack up serious points in that game. I hate to wish anyone an end to an undefeated season, but in this matchup, somebody's got to lose, and unfortunately for the newcomer, I can't see Foxhounders getting out of this one unscathed. Now let's jump in with the Tier 2 Yellow Jackets for a great matchup. Super Crisp versus Put Down Foxes. Crisp is looking very solid. He also has Aaron Rodgers with one of his favorite connections and last week breakout Jordy Nelson. And a steady running back crew with Adrian Peterson, Ahmad Bradshaw, and Ryan Williams. I see AP having a big week this week against a pathetic Titans run defense. 2 Fox team names in one show? My producer's claiming it's a coincidence. There's one major looming issue here for the put-down Foxes. His lineup still isn't set. Hopefully, he'll have enough time to get to his computer as Vjax and Janikowski are on a bye this week. He'll have to rely on RG3 and AJ Green for the most part, though, with a healthy dose of Trent Richardson. If put-down Foxes adjusts his lineup, I like his team better. However, my spidey senses are telling me that he might just flake out this week. So I'm going to say Super Crisp will take the win. All right, now let's jump back down to Tier 3H for a matchup between the Las Vegas Jets versus Turn Your Head and Coughlin. The Vegas Jets sound way better. Plus, I hate the real Jets. Did you watch my Niners crush them last week? Look for an exciting battle with Peyton going against rival Tom Brady. This one could get interesting. Also, let's see what happens with Ryan Matthews after the Chargers announced Jackie Battle will be the starter. I don't think that will last. Turn Your Head and Coughlin is another awesome name in the PFFL. You guys are great at naming these teams. Coughlin's got Rivers, which could be huge against New Orleans. McGahee against New England. I bet he'll score at least once. And keep an eye out for Eli's new favorite target, Dominic Hickson. I see Coughlin winning this one, but it should be a very close matchup. Well, PFFL fans, that's it for your Week 5 previews. I'm John Hampton. Be sure to tune in Saturday for the PFFL Live Breaking News and Injury Update Show. And be sure to check out all the other content we're pushing out of the PFFL Facebook page and on our website. There's a new show every day, so check it out. You can always reach me on Twitter at RealJohnHampton. For more news, smack talks, and update, visit us at thepffl.com. That's the-pffl.com. This has been a presentation of the PFFL.